The way that I see things is there's two issues here. The first issue is the world is changing faster than ever, and this is partly driven by technology, partly also driven by growth in population. There's more minds out there, there's more innovators, there's more creators. There are more of us to invent and adapt and change things, and we've got tools now that enable us to self-organize, communicate, learn faster than ever before. So the world is moving almost exponentially. However, the academic institutions designed many decades, even centuries before, are not designed for exponential growth. They're designed to move in a linear way. So it's going to be tough. And a great report by Pearson is the avalanche is coming. And a lot of these institutions won't survive. And it's my thinking that actually there's a huge opportunity for a business, and this is part of the strategy of Exponentials, to take these institutions on a journey, to get them to really understand all of the things that are happening on the edges of education and learning in the big bad world. To draw from the lessons of EdTech, to draw from the lessons of how organizations learn, and bring that back in, and try and identify new business models moving forward, new approaches to content, new approaches to community and curation, and reposition their role within the space of learning. And that is not just about launching a platform. It's also about understanding the politics and the complexity that lies with culture change, that lies with transitioning from one business model, which is about selling courses, to another, which is about building community and enabling real-world action. Then we come down to another interesting question within the higher ed space, which is curriculum. And before, it was very simple. You got a bunch of experts together, they work for 6 months to a year to create a world-class curriculum. And then they launch it, and they sell the course, and they advertise the fact that the greatest minds around created this curriculum. And people apply, pay lots of money, and then they recycle that course year in, year out. 1 year, fantastic, students go through, delete, start again. And they assess it in the same ways, with the same exams, with the same books, everything the same, every single year. Now that could have worked before when things were changing in a linear way. You could have a 10-year cycle for your curriculum, right? You design it, then you sell it as much as you can for 10 years with a few tweaks, and then you create another one, and it pays back. Now, the curriculum almost goes out of date the second you publish it. So we need to completely rethink the concept of a course. People don't want to follow a set path for them. They want guidelines. And curriculum should be emergent. And this means that what you do is, rather than spending 6 months to a year creating curriculum, you spend 3 weeks to a month creating curriculum. And you launch it. And you launch it in a way which is a springboard for students to continue their own investigations, rather than effectively a boot camp, a drill, where everything is pre-programmed, predetermined, and you just measure and assess along the way. And that mindset is a huge mindset to change, because it basically means that you cannot sell qualifications anymore. Because the whole business of education is about accrediting, having qualifications and selling qualifications with a branded institution. And that's what you can charge lots of money for. But instead, if you can't credit, if you can't sell a qualification, then what are you paying for? You can't justify such a high price tag. Of course you can't. So therefore you need to get much leaner. You need to really focus on the value you can bring in order to learners' lives, and to cut your costs drastically, and to rethink how you manage knowledge, which isn't we get a few experts that we pay ridiculous amounts of money for to curate and write and then push that knowledge onto people. Instead, you think in terms of being curators. You tap into little nuggets of knowledge, you curate it, you bring it together, and that becomes a starting point for a diverse community of people to go and engage with that content in many different ways. So when we move from a course mindset to a community mindset, when we move from kind of a mindset where you build curriculum and then basically assess it all the way through, Instead, you say, we're going to build curriculum and we're going to evolve it every single month, every single year, so that the feedback, the learning and the work of the first year becomes the foundation for the work of the second year and the third year and the fourth year and the fifth year. Suddenly you build legacy and you build resilience into your institution. And those are some of the key concepts that are missing from higher ed. And then there's the other component, which is, what the hell do you do with digital? How do you begin to manage all of this, all these conversations, all of this stuff, all of this content? And this is a problem that every large organization faces, with multiple stakeholders interacting. Whether it's community groups, whether it's big businesses that work across countries, whether it's alumni networks and schools. And this is why you need a peer-to-peer knowledge management system. And this is at the heart of what Genesis is about. Create a profile, create pages, share pages, message people. It's really simple. Create pages, share pages, message people. That's all that really any website ever does. Create pages, share pages, message people. Yeah. And yet it gets overly complicated with Moodles and Canvases and hundreds of thousands of pounds spent on convoluted systems that are unnecessary, based on the premise of controlling and assessing and quizzing students all the way through their journey, rather than just letting them out really useful stuff and enabling more exciting interactions such as virtual conferences and meetups and conversational dinners and all of these things. So there needs to be a shift towards open learning. There needs to be a complete rethink over the business model of education and what you sell. And what you sell isn't a course anymore. It needs to be something else. Think in terms of selling lifelong membership to a community. Think in terms of selling value-added services, bespoke courses, and in particular coaching, which is this notion of one-to-one time. And when that is missing, you're effectively you're limiting your ability to really personalize content and personalize the experience, which is really what matters. So if I had to distill what makes education great, it would be three things. The first is about curation. So building a dynamic body of knowledge that you found from your own experience, online, from conversations with experts and mentors, and gathering together and presenting it in an engaging and interactive way, and allowing people to add to that content for it to evolve and grow over time. So it's the modern day library as we see it. The second part is coaching and accountability. And that's having one-to-one time with someone that can not only guide you through your own learning journey, but can also hold you accountable to your own goals. Because it's that accountability and that one-to-one relationship with someone that's going to stretch you and push you to the limit that really makes you go beyond your comfort zone, and that's vital. And the third final part is the social piece, which is really hosting and facilitating epic events that get people excited, and that also build strong bonds between your classmates, between your mentors, between peers and fellows. And getting those events right in memorable locations, doing exciting group challenges, hiking, being outside, is effectively building friendships, is essential, because actually a lot of the learning that you're going to get is from those peer-to-peer relationships with your learners. And if you can get the dynamic curation, coaching accountability, and the social bits right, then you have a lasting, impactful learning experience. And believe it or not, that's actually really cheap to do, because content is becoming ubiquitous and accessible to all. It's never been easier for people to connect via Skype and have one-to-one coaching time. And events, well, you don't need to host a building. You can use Airbnb and rent out a castle, or find a pop-up location on some island somewhere, or do whatever you like. And actually we can leverage technology and digital to basically bring together the best of learning and package it up for really affordable price points. And this is where the exciting part of where education is heading. So no more big flashy buildings, no more ego-driven expensive professors, actually just a complete focus on the end user, which is the learner, or the participant, or the entrepreneur, which I think is a good way to go.